And we are back with Imma, back with the most experienced woman from Italy,
I
now
doubt.
living in London.
I doubt. I
Because
doubt.
we still have a lot of things to talk about it. That's why we are here. We divided this episode in two parts. So I hope you enjoyed the first one, and now we go straight away to the second part. You ready? Are we ready for
I
this
am so
travel?
ready.
So there is something in my mind. We were talking about like solo travel. You all whole experience about it, but there is something that we have in common.
Mm-hmm.
Our solo travel, our life, because
Mm-hmm.
we had our solo travel from Italy to London,
Mm-hmm.
which is a place where now we live.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, thinking about your experience having in London, like
Mm-hmm.
how is it going? By the way,
It's going great.
how great?
I feel like I belong here. And it's not something that I felt back home. Like I was always in a limbo of like, I was born here. There are things that I love about here, but there are things that I really, really can't stand about this country. And I feel like I could do so much better somewhere else. And don't ask me why London, because it was one of those things that I think I was a teenager. And at some point I decided, yeah, I'm going to live in London.
So there is no like a reason behind, because there was an episode where like I'm talking about, I don't know if the topic was like music or anything experience, and I was telling the listener that I was a big fan of the Spice Girls.
Oh,
So basically,
makes
like
sense.
I was like growing up and see all the they were like wearing this Jack flag
Yeah,
dress. So
of
while I
course.
was kids, and I was like, oh, the London looks and sounds cool. So I started like listen to British music, and
Okay,
then in my mind I was like kind of getting into the reality of London
okay,
that it was in my mind.
okay.
I had to like compare it other reality. I think that London or England was the first place where I came here with like really high expectation,
Okay.
and I got better than what I had in
Okay.
my mind.
Okay.
So this is something like comparing to other places. And then also when I go, especially at the beginning, when I go travel to some places, after like couple of a week or 10 days, I'm like, I miss my house in London. I need to come
Mm-hmm.
back to London
Mm-hmm.
somehow. I don't know. There is some magic, even though I think like 90% of my friends they are planning to leave or they left already.
Okay.
They keep saying to me like, oh, I think that you are the only one who really still in love with London.
Uh-huh.
Something that you can relate into that one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Are you promoting the reality with your friends? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
but
like
this,
I don't really like to argue about it because it's a very personal experience. Like I don't agree with like friends that tell me, "Oh, I want to go back to Italy," because that's not something that I would do. But then at the same time, I respect that maybe you didn't have the same experience that I had in London, or that we didn't move for the same reasons, or maybe when you moved, you were in a specific mindset, or maybe when you were another person, and now that person is no longer in your life, and so maybe like your perception of the city has changed, or maybe when you go back home, you see that things have changed back home. Like for you, it feels like things at home have changed, and so you could do good going back. It's not something that I feel personally, and at the beginning I would take it almost very personal, be like, what do you mean, like
yeah,
what you gonna
yeah,
do,
correct,
like
yeah.
it's gonna you're gonna fail because nothing has changed, like you're gonna go back and you're gonna be so frustrated because you're gonna you're gonna feel the same things that you felt when you left. Like surely you had reasons to leave. Are you sure that those things have changed, and that you don't just see them like that, because when you go back you're on holiday, and so
And then
you see the fairy
yes,
parts
yes,
of the
yes, the
country,
fairy one,
you
correct.
don't really see your day-to-day life, which is still something that I feel very strongly about. Like when I go back to Italy, I enjoy it the first couple of days, and I'm always in a different mindset because I'm not rushing anywhere. Like I don't have specific things to do. I don't have to deal with bureaucracy except maybe like once or twice. I don't have to face the health system. I don't know, like there's things that you do normally in your day-to-day life that you don't really experience when you go back as a visitor. But still, after the second, third day, I start seeing, oh my God, the traffic is insane. But if I had to take the train, it would be even worse. There is no way that I can get there quicker than sitting in a car and waiting for the traffic to go. I don't know, like there is simple things and small things that still annoy me. And so I can't imagine my life back in Italy, at least so far. But then I've also come to the realization that, as I said, probably for other people may be different and different. And then if you do feel like this is a good time for you to go back home, I will support. Like it's not like, oh, you're leaving, we're not gonna be friends anymore, or like we're not gonna see each other anymore. Like will find a way to stay in touch if that's the way that it has to be. But I'm still the biggest advocate of London. Like if I can recruit more people to travel to move here, I'll be the first one.
But that's what I keep saying to all of them, but really deep in my mind, I'm like, bullshit. I mean, you like really make a big mistake. I mean, not because you know what, it's like the best place in the world, but probably our background is a little bit tougher than other people's experience. So when they have like a different background than my one, like for instance, I'll give an example. I'm from South Italy, reality where you work 6 days a week out of 7.
Yeah.
The reality
And
where
3 of them are double.
yeah, and basically like I used to work in a coffee shop where I was starting at 6 and I was finishing around 7-8 p.m.
Yeah.
So now in here in London, I do, for instance, when they send me the first contract of 40 hours, like 40 hours in Italy, I do 40 hours in like 3 days and a half.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
got
I
40
have
hours
so
in-
much free time now.
Yeah. So probably it's like a background
Yeah.
experience that it kind of makes me appreciate or not.
A lot more, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is not to give for granted that many people here don't work crazy hours, because I'm sure that a lot of people
But that's
have
why they complain about it, by the way.
probably, yeah. Which again, like it's all very circumstantial, right? Like you can't really tell why they are in that position. Like it's either because maybe they want to earn more money, or because just the environment they're in doesn't allow them to do differently. And I've definitely had different jobs here, and I've seen the differences, and a lot of it depends on your manager, on your team, like the company you're working for. So there is definitely different experiences. And it depends as well. Like I guess some people that do consider going back to Italy is that perhaps they can keep their job
Yes.
and
Well,
just
first
do
of
it
all, yeah.
remotely, and I don't know, like, but I do agree with you that like live, especially for someone that has worked in the hospitality industry for most of their lives, the reality of the hospitality industry in Italy, it's so different to what it is here. And that there are definitely like some circumstances that are more challenging than other, but you can find a good work-life balance here, I believe. So that's definitely something that.
Do you think that you have to like a well-planned person? Like for instance, I know that I'm gonna do like my clothes washing on a day. I'm gonna do my weekly shopping a day, because there are a lot of people that are always behind this kind of work versus whether like be in Italy living with your mom when you just get after your shift and you have your food already on the table.
Yeah, and which is definitely a plus. Like whenever I go back home and I don't have to think of anything, then I come back here and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna eat tonight? Like well, now I have to start thinking again of like doing my shopping, doing my cooking. But I think that's a personality trait that wherever you are, you're gonna be in a certain way. Like when I'm home, maybe I don't do my laundry because my mom is happy to do it for me because I'm there just a limited amount of time. But I can tell you that the reality of it was that when I was living in Italy, a lot of times I was the one doing the laundry because my mom was at work and maybe, I don't know, I was a student, or like we had different days off and times off. So a lot of time I was doing the house chores, so that wasn't different for me coming here, having to look after myself because I had always done it.
Yeah.
While I can imagine like someone that has grown up in a family where maybe their moms were always at home, or like in any case they were taking charge of everything from like the cooking to the cleaning to whatever else, doing your doctor appointments, things like that. It's obviously that's enticing for you to go back home and be like, oh, I don't have to worry anymore about that, or I'm doing a long shift at work, but I know that someone in my family is going to make me lunch and I can, I just have to grab it from the fridge and go home. Like there is definitely elements that might make your life easy, but if that's your reality, and it's not the same for everyone. So I think definitely that impacts it, because as I said, like I'm not new to having to look after myself. And so if you move abroad, there is definitely challenges added to versus when you live at home. But if you're used to doing it, then it's not really,
The tip is like be well organized.
Yeah. But again, like if you are if you're an organized person, you will be organized wherever you are. If you are not an organized person, plus you were used to someone else doing it for you, then it will be a challenge. And I can see why there will be a challenge. And then obviously I'm a strong believer that if your house is not in order, and if you're, like if the tasks that you have to do, like, in life, like normally are not done, and they start piling up, then it can be overwhelming. And it's like, well, when am I going to do this? I work so many hours, I come back late, then, I go to sleep, I go to work again. Like it becomes like a wheel that never ends.
That's how it is for many of us.
Yeah. So it's all about, I guess, like cutting the time out of your day. Even, like stupid thing, but the washing machine nowadays have a delay button. Like you can set it for it to run before you come back home, and so once you're home, the laundry is done. Like there's things that you can do.
Let's write this down, yeah, guys. That's
next
a good
episode
one. Yeah.
tips on like
it's how to live in
houseworks.
London. Yeah. London, yes. But let's go back to the main topic of here. Like your next travel. You're planning already? You have something in your mind? What the next destination?
You know what? Like I feel like this year I've traveled a lot less than the previous years, and partly is because I've done the destinations that were really high on my top list, and so I was really satisfied with it. And this year I took time to do other things more locally. Like I'm passionate about engines, so this year I went to Silverstone to watch the Formula One. Like things like I did things locally more than traveling abroad. However, last year Christmas, you might remember because you were there, I almost set myself like a New Year resolution, which was at least once a year ticking off the list one of the 7 wonders.
Oh.
And so
okay, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And so like in the last couple of months, I've been thinking about going to Egypt, and then see the pyramids, which as a kid was one of the things that like fascinated me more than anything. I was like, oh my god, and like the hieroglyphics and the papyrus and like all of that world was always high in my favorite lists.
Since you were like a little kid.
Yeah. Like I think since
one.
primary schools,
Okay.
like if you look at the books in my house, it's things about the sphinges and like the pharaohs, like all of that. And then I left it aside for a little bit as a solo traveler, because it's one of those countries that I don't necessarily feel comfortable going by myself.
Yeah.
And I hope it's no offense to anyone, but it's just like there's such a difference in the culture, and as we were saying earlier, not in all countries it's usual or common to see girls traveling by themselves. And their culture towards women is already different, from the usual European view. And so it was one of those that I've put off a little bit when I was younger, because I was like, I'm not sure that's the best thing for me to do. But I've also come, to maybe I've grown up a little bit and I have gained more experience in traveling, and I would definitely look at, like, as I did for Kenya, like booking something that is pre-organized, at least to go see the pyramids and the museums and all of that. But then once you go to Egypt, why don't you go to the beach? So like I'm thinking of maybe doing a couple of days in Cairo, a couple of days by the beach, which is wonderful. And then, growing up near to the sea, I always miss it, and so I always try to have like a little bit of that when I go on holiday.
I'm having a lot of like challenging conversation with people when like, oh, you're Italian, you're from South Italy, I've been there. I'm like, I haven't yet. And they were like, cannot complain, cannot disappointed. But I'm always go as I'm feeling I'm still young, I'd rather go for challenging travel right now.
Yeah.
And maybe keep that what for me at the closest one for later.
Absolutely.
Like I don't see myself on my 60 do like a 14-hour flight.
Travel.
Absolutely. So I'd rather do it now. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. I think there are definitely kind of travels that I'm keeping for later on, which is, I don't know, like for maybe like it's not the best way to look at it, because also time is really short and you don't really know what you're gonna be able to do at what point in your life. But there are things like a cruise, for example. Like I know we disagree on this, but in my opinion, is one of those very comfortable trips.
Correct.
That you can do a bit later on in life. While now I still feel like I could climb the Machu Picchu, like.
Okay, now we have to say this right, because we had a chat already. What about the cruise? So just because I'm kind of getting into an age or certain mindset where I'm stressing out myself when I'm traveling, because I want to do like a list of I have to do this and that. So at some point I get home after this holiday, I'm like, it was stressful.
Yes.
So I'm kind of,
because you're always chasing the next thing to do.
what's next? What's next? And then at some point, I'm like, I think that at least once a year, I deserve like a chill one.
Absolutely.
That's why the cruise idea just popped in my mind. Sometimes like you just go there, you
It's
just
all
eat
planned
and
out
sleep,
for
eat and
you.
sleep, eat and sleep.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if that works for you right now, go for it, you know?
Which is something
Like,
that you can do with some friends. It's not just like, oh, people
I think
who,
he's inviting me on a trip with
yeah,
him.
I'm kind of like, but yeah, I mean, like sometimes when I'm speaking to my friend, oh, that could be a nice idea now, probably because there is no dreaming of like the big trouble of the life, probably because, oh, he's done it, she's done it, I've done it as well. So now we are trying to, because we live in different cities, different reality, different countries, where let's try to do something that it can be in common for everyone
Yeah.
and then enjoy the time together.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So you coming with me then?
Depends when you want to go, where you want to go, you know? Like, we can make it up. I'm sure we can.
So far, which one was your least favorite and why?
My least favorite trip.
Doesn't need to be like your solo one, but just because the topic is about solo,
Oh,
based on
that's
your solo travel experience, which one was the one?
definitely one that was not my solo trip was one of my least favorite. And for the reasons we were saying earlier, because I went with one friend and we had very different views of what the holiday was going to be. So that was a disaster for me. Like one of those that I actually forget that I've done because I have no good memories of it. I'm sorry to say. But trips that I've done by myself that have been a bit underwhelming. It was definitely, I think 2 years ago in December, I went to Cyprus, which was lovely because it was really hot. Like, how December is here in London. It's really cold and winter seems to last forever. So I was like, oh, I have these couple of days. I want to go somewhere where it's sunny. I don't have to pack a big luggage because it's not going to be cold.
Yeah.
So the weather was lovely. It was very low season, so a lot of things were closed. And I did have a little bit of that perception of attracting a lot of attention, which I never appreciate. That said, during that trip, I did a day trip out with like a group of people, like they put you in a van and they drive you around
Yeah.
the little towns. And that was lovely, like, because you get to see the real traditional, like, little towns and the businesses, like people that still run their family business and they still handcraft stuff, like, so that part was really, really nice. But the trip as a whole in itself, I don't remember it fondly. And it was one of the times where I found really unhelpful people, which it always pains me to say, but like probably because my last day was a bit troubled, that I remember even worse than maybe it was, because I noticed that the day before there was a bus strike. And I was planning to go back to the airport the next day with the bus. So I approached the receptionist in the evening and I asked very, very specifically, like, is the bus service reliable? And I don't think she understood the question because she went on to explain to me where to go to get the bus to the airport. And so I said, okay, but it works, like, and she was like, yeah, there's specific times, like you go at this time and da, da, da. Obviously the next day I went at the time that she told me and there were no buses because there was a strike. Literally. And what annoyed me even more was that the hotel was here, the station where I went was here, and the only buses were going from the opposite direction, which is where I had gone in the morning. So I'd left my luggage there. I went to do my exploring of that area. Then I came back to take my luggage. I walked all the way back the opposite side of the island, and then I had to walk back all the other side of the island, where I could have just like planned my day completely different. And so that was one of the cases where like people either not understanding you or like not putting too much effort into actually helping ruined my whole day, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And I was sweating and I was, carrying a backpack. Like, it just left a very bitter taste in my mouth. And I was like, oh, that was really crap.
If you will had like the chance in few words, like to our listener, what is gonna be for you your like top 3 tips or 2 tips if you want to plan a solo travel? What will it be? Just some short answers.
For me is being very clear of where I want to go, and so based on that, finding out the things that either I know already of and I want to see, or like if I'm not really sure, like do very good research of like what are the things to do and to see, because you might just then come back home and then you watch a video on Instagram and you're like, oh my god, I could have done that, so like I really like to do my research very well. I do like to be comfortable in where I'm staying. And that doesn't mean that I always go for like 5 star hotels. I don't think I've ever done, like, but at least I want to know that the place where I'm staying and the area where I'm staying, it's positive and it's gonna have a good experience. It's gonna have a good impact on my experience. And the third one.
If there is a third one,
No, I'm sure there is more, but you put me on the spot, and now I have to think very quickly of what they are.
Okay, let's do something. I'm gonna invite you again, maybe next time, and maybe we can follow up a little bit.
All
What do you
right,
think?
so
Yeah?
we'll leave you pending with the third
Okay, we are in
reason.
Penny with Imma. So see you next time, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.